So maybe your why now is different from when you first started, but what is the reason? The reasons are going to equal results for you when you know your real reason. So why is your business success important to you? Why is it important to your family? Much like having the right mindset, if you don't have a compelling reason to create success, you won't sustain it during seasons like the summer when more demands for your family are present. You just won't. Welcome to Remix Moments with Martine, where we will remix your mindset one moment at a time. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm here to bring you a quick burst of inspiration, insight, and a fresh spin on your mompreneur journey. In just a few minutes, we'll remix your mindset, energize your day, and keep you moving forward with purpose. Let's dive in to today's moment. Hey friends, and welcome back to the show. This is Martine Williams, your CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And today we are diving into part 2 of our 3-part series with the Summer Ready Success. And so last week we talked about choosing your mindset, and we spent a lot of time talking about that, which is the number one step. Without really spending time on that, these other 4 are irrelevant. They're not going to be as simple and easy to implement without the right mindset. So today we're going to be talking about the second C for the 5 C's for Summer Ready Success, which is create your plan. So we're going to be talking about creating your plan, and then we're also going to be talking about how to consistently show up. So that is what we're up for this episode. I know you're going to love it. If you missed downloading your free guide that goes along with this training, you can go to martinewilliams.com/summer success, print that off, download it, fill it out, use it all summer long so that you can create the success on purpose and intentional for you this summer. All right, friends, let's dive right in. Okay, and then create your plan is the second one. So this is where harmony versus hustle is going to come in, is when you create your plan. We will never find time for what matters most, but we can create the time for what matters most. But you have to slow down to speed up. You have to slow down and really formulate, what is the plan going to look like for me? So if you take the time right now to do this, to create the what, the why, the who, the when, and the how, you will see your business thrive while everyone else is in survival mode or restarting their business in the fall. So remember, things in motion tend to stay in motion. So just keep moving. All progress, all movement is to be celebrated. So let's start with the why. Why? This is a great time in the summer when you know obstacles are probably going to come, when you're looking at, different ways to do your business, to come back to why you started your business or why you're still in the business. So maybe your why now is different from when you first started, but what is the reason? The reasons are going to equal results for you when you know your real reason. So why is your business success important to you? Why is it important to your family? Be specific. So I did create a free resource to help you with this. It's called Rev Up Your Dreams. And so you can get that at martinewilliams.com/guide, but don't skip this part. Much like having the right mindset, if you don't have a compelling reason to create success, you won't sustain it during seasons like the summer when more demands for your family are present. You just won't. And so maybe that's like, once you figure out what your why is, you put it on your phone as a screensaver for you to look at every single day, or put up on your mirror just to remind you, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And for your kids, like I was just coaching a client the other day and we were talking about this, and I said, I used to always say, like, when we would go to Chick-fil-A, or we would go to the water park, or we would go to just the flexibility that I have with my business, I would say, thank you, my business. So for 16 years, it's like, thank you, 31, that because of my business, I get to take you to the water park, or so it just helped the family to also be on board with, mommy does still have to work in the summertime. She's not my playmate 24/7, 365. So if you have littles, that's really helpful. But even as they get older, right, to be able to remind them of how thankful they are that they have a mom who has chosen entrepreneurship so she can have the flexibility to be with them when they want to be with them. So the second step is the what. So what are your non-negotiables in this season? Like your workouts, family time, date nights, Like those things go on your calendar first because they're the reasons you got into your business probably, is to have more freedom and flexibility in those areas. So you want to put those into your calendar first so that you can protect the time around that. And then another piece that I find most people don't have, especially as entrepreneurs, what are your business hours? What are your business hours that you're going to commit to? I'm going to start at this time and I'm going to stop at this time. That helps you to get concentration, focus during that time to be where your feet are. And so you're not like fragmented. And 1 minute you're checking an email, the next minute you're doing laundry, the next minute you're over here trying to do an Instagram post, and the next minute you're over there, fixing lunch for the kids. Like I can say these things because I understand that. Like that was me for so long, right? And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, what did I actually get done today? And so if that's how you feel at the end of your day, like who wants to keep on doing that? That's not fun to feel like you worked all day, but you didn't have a return on that investment. And so you're like, I don't want to keep doing that. So then you're like, I'm just going to pick it back up in the fall. It's just too hard, right? So what are your productive priorities for the best return on your time invested? And this is an important piece of this. Find out from your kids what is most important to them this summer that you're present for. Like, is it important that you are the one cooking all the meals, or can you just get takeout on some nights? And they just want to make sure that they're fed, right? I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as moms to have these, at least for me, because my mom did it for me, was having dinner on the table at 6 o'clock and having like the meat and the potatoes and the bread and the salad and all the things. And my kids are like, I don't really care about that, Mom. But until I had the conversation with them, I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform as that mom. So have that conversation with them, release the expectations. If it's not important to them that you're at all of their baseball practices this summer, but they just want you at the games and the tournaments, great, right? They might not even care that you're there for all the games. You might want to be there. And that's, again, like you want to keep you in consideration too. But what are your productive priorities? What are your goals? Because again, we don't find time for what matters most. We create that time for it and we put it on the calendar and we block it out and we protect it just like you would anything else. It's always interesting to me how we will protect the time for something for our kids, but we don't protect that same time for us, right? So don't just be busy this summer, be in business. What are the most productive revenue generating activities? I call them your big rocks for maximum productivity. Hey friend, can we talk about summer sleep for a second? Because if you've ever tried to fall asleep or stay asleep on a hot, sticky night, then you know the struggle. And I've had those nights where I'm flipping the pillow, kicking the covers off, sticking one leg out, and thinking, this is miserable. And that's why I'm so excited about my new Cozy Earth sheets. They are temperature regulating magic, I'm telling you. They wick away the heat and moisture and they help you to sleep several degrees cooler. And honestly, I felt the difference night one, and they are incredibly soft. You just slide right into those sheets and you feel cool all night long. And right now, as I'm recording this, I'm literally also wearing their joggers, and oh my word, they are buttery soft, they're breathable and ridiculously comfortable. I wear them to lounge around the house, to work from home, and honestly, some days I never take them off. So I want to invite you to go to cozyearth.com and use the code Martine for 40% off their best-selling sheets, their pajamas, and more. And here is the kicker. Cozy Earth gives you a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty on all bedding. So there's zero risk. Luxury shouldn't be out of reach. And with Cozy Earth, it isn't. So Stephen Covey, I've shared this story before, but Stephen Covey, you may have heard this, had an exercise he did. He walked into a class. If you don't know who Stephen Covey is, he has the Covey planners. He's like the productivity guru. But he goes into this class and he had this like vase and he put these big rocks in the vase and he asked the class, is the glass full? And they're like, yeah. And so then he pulls out from underneath the podium some pebbles and he puts the pebbles in and they kind of fill in some of the spaces where the big rocks aren't. And then he says, is the glass full? And they're like, yes. And so then he pulls out a pitcher of sand, pours the sand over top of it, and that fills even more of the spaces in the glass. And then he's like, is the glass full? And at this point, they're like, well, we thought it was full before. So then he pulls out a pitcher of water, he pours it on top, and it fills all the way to the top. No space left. And so he asked the class, what is the point of this illustration? And he said, one of the students raised their hand and they said, no matter what you have in your calendar, you can always fit one more thing in. And he said, no, the point of the exercise is if you don't get the big rocks in first, you won't get them in at all, right? Like when I heard that example, I'm like, that would have been me. I'd be like, you can always cram one more thing in. How many are you living your life like that? You're cramming all these things in and you're not getting your big rocks in first. Big rocks, you're one of the big rocks. And that's a whole nother webinar that I talk about. You are the asset to the business, right? So if you don't get that one in first, of course your calendar is going to get filled up with the sand and the pebbles and the water. We got to define what are your big rocks. So that's the what. When you're thinking about your plan, what are the big rocks in your business? And then who's going to be involved? Who needs to be involved? Who will support you? Do you need a business bestie this summer that you can be accountability partners with? Do you need a mommy's helper, like someone to come in and help with the kids or swap out some sitting with another friend of yours? Who do you need to connect to with your business? Like who do you need to be networking with to get new customers? And maybe get your family involved or outsource some things to free up your time, right? Maybe there's some things happening in the house that you got some kids in there that could help free up some of your time if they just took some responsibility on some of those things. And so that's the who needs to be involved. Who doesn't need to be involved? Who needs to come out of your circle for right now while you focus is equally as important as who's in your circle is who needs to get out of the boat, right? They're poking holes in your boat. You're trying to row and get momentum and they're steady poking holes in the back of your boat. We need them off your boat. And then the when will you do these things? So this is the calendar blocking. And calendar blocking has been around forever, but it is one of the most effective ways that I have found, especially for summer. So go ahead and calendar block for June, July, and August with the important family days, the date nights, the workouts, those non-negotiables that we talked about earlier, your personal and professional development, when you're going to listen to a podcast or when you're going to attend a webinar, and then what are your business hours? And then have personal integrity. You have high integrity probably when it comes to other people, but are you keeping that same integrity for yourself? Because every time you don't do what you say you're going to do, you are sending a message to your brain that I don't do what I say I'm going to do, right? And then that just starts a whole negative story loop that is probably on repeat for a lot of you. So what could you simply commit to doing in your calendar block just to get started with it? So if you struggle with this, don't like go from I'm not doing anything to I'm going to put 10 huge commitments on my calendar for June, July, and August. You're going to get overwhelmed probably pretty easily. So how can you start simple? Create your summer schedule that works both for you and your family, and then just evaluate it each week. Don't wait until the end of the summer to evaluate it. Evaluate it maybe each day or each week. What worked well? What didn't work? Not doing that again. That didn't work. Or what just needs to be tweaked, right? So in the how, I want you to think about your SMART goals. I know most of you are familiar with SMART goals, but they do work if you work them. And when you're setting them, I want you to think these 3 most important activities to make your business grow this summer. If you do nothing else, these are the 3. You've got to get in front of new people. You've got to tell them what you do. And the third thing is you have to make an offer to help them, whatever it is that you're selling. People buy solutions. You have a solution to someone's problem or you wouldn't have a business. So what is it? These 3 things are the most important thing to creating growth in your business at all times. So if you're like, my 3 rocks that I'm going to focus on are those 3 things, and that's it. If you just did that for the next 3 months, your business will grow. Your income will grow. Your revenue will grow. So how are you going to get in front of new people? That was the first one, right? For some of you, that might be social media. While others of you, you might be more of a face-to-face person. But both work. So plan now, how will you do each of those 3 things? I know for me right now, I'm really feeling more drawn to in-person connection versus online connection. And, I've kind of gone through waves with that. But right now, I'm just trying to trust my intuition and my gut. And I want to be face-to-face with people, eyeball to eyeball in real time. So this summer, I'm just going to be spending more time getting in front of new people, not just on the internet, but out in my community. So Another piece of the how is, again, do you need some help? Like, do you need an hour to do a power hour and have someone come and watch the kids? Or how, like, why, if your kids are going to go to a camp, or maybe they go to another friend's house, just to give you an hour so that you're not in that all or nothing thinking. You're like, I have a power hour. Here's what I'm going to do during that power hour. I'm going to work on my social media plan. I'm going to work on my connection plan. I'm going to work on those 3 things in that hour. And then how can you remove distractions or those lesser important, those pebbles in the sand? Maybe it's giving up a TV show to work on your business. Maybe it's, you're going to sacrifice 1 day a week out of the summer where the whole day is in your business, right? But I want you to be thinking about the how behind it. Create set times to work and play, and the boundaries to protect both. We work hard so we can play hard, right? You need both to have a well-balanced, I don't love the word balance, but harmonized business. So how will you hold yourself accountable to your goals and what you said you would do? Let your yes be yes and your no be no, because again, every time you say I'm going to do something and then you don't, it just sends that message to your brain that I don't do what I say I'm going to do. So that's the create your plan. Well, that's it, friends, for this remix moment. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, and I hope that you are feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Remember, even small moments can lead to big changes. If this moment made a difference, be sure to subscribe, share with your fellow moms, and leave me a quick review. Seriously, it means the world to me to hear from you. And until next time, I am believing in you, and I will catch you in the next moment.